It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast in the biggest way possible. Hanging out. The bad seed, the broken, the bad apple with a bad attitude, hanging around. Bad attitude, bad take, bad lie, bad do, bad breath, bad attitude, bad vibes. We are live in the Magic City Studios in the Ferrall Palatial. Right across the river into the woods from where Granny had the shepherd's pie going yesterday in a sack of the OG Kush in New York City. The Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion shade up. I'm up in the criminal fudge party up, rats on the west side, bed bugs uptown. What am I? Tattered, my brain splattered all over Manhattan. I let them shoot my little rock and roll. Shoot my little rock and roll. Hey, what's gigging? I'm Ferrall, along with your boy Carver High this afternoon. Mafia's running it. I'm hoping AJ Foyt, perhaps. Luke, I am your father. I can't keep track of all. AJ Foyt is in the hizzy today. Carver High, you can feel it. Can we get a birthday roll call to start the week off right? It's very important. It's crucial. Rodrigo Blankenship, 27. I think he's that dude, the kicker with the glasses, like funky black glasses he kicks with. Kaini Fairburn, 30. Kevin Shattenkirk, 35. I think I did that once in my pants. Jose Abreu, 37, with Alex Avila. Thomas Grice, 38. Mark Gasol, 39. Rob Baronis, 46. Jason Schmidt, 51. Aeneas Williams, 56. Stacey King and Sean Burke, 57. Dominic Hasek, the Dominator, 59. Andre Reed, legend, 60. Steve Sachs, 64. Greg Louganis, 64. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. So the Niners got by the Lions 34-31 in an epic collapse by Detroit. We got it all for you. The comeback, when it started in the third quarter. We welcome our radio affiliates, SiriusXM, Channel 159, our satellite partners all over the Southern Hemisphere. They kick ass and take names. Sports Byline does as well, and all their great radio affiliates out of San Francisco, Deepak holding it down. They're all excited up in the city by the bay with the comeback win over the Lions. We got Dan Campbell. He doesn't regret all of his terrible decisions. I'm sick and tired of today listening to everyone talk about how right he was to go for it on all the fourth downs. He was about as right as that loss. Like, all these people think they're so smart with their math and analytics. You can stick that in your ear. And I'll tell you why coming up. Kyle Shanahan on what was said at halftime. I bet there was some cussing. Christian McCaffrey gives credit to Brock Montana. Morency will join us this very hour from Vancouver to talk about it all. The Chiefs beat the Ravens outright. 17-10 in Baltimore to win the AFC title. We got all the Ravens mistakes for you queued up. Mahomes now 10-1-1 as a dog against the spread, going to his fourth Super Bowl in 5 years. Is that about right? 4-5. He's going for his third ring, and he's unbelievable. We'll listen to him talking about going back to the Super Bowl. Andy Reid, so proud. Plus, Lamar, not happy at all. We got Phil Simms. He was on the early line with Ben and Donnie this morning and talked about the gambles that Dan Campbell took in the NFC title game. We'll hear from Simms. Super Bowl 58, it's Kansas City and San Francisco. We got it all. The early line, movement, betting. We got Chiefs odds, Niners odds, Super Bowl MVP odds. The cheapest ticket is around $8,000. The average price in the $15,000 range per ticket. Dogs in the playoffs. We'll talk about that. Arthur Blank didn't hire Belichick because he didn't want to reshape the entire organization. Brown will hire Ken Dorsey as the offensive coordinator, and the Bills officially named Joe Brady the OC. We got Davis Lee Roth-Matic joining us today with his snags for tonight. around the NBA. Plus, looky here, the coach is back. Coach Young on the grid, on C2C, talking rack. And today in Carver High history, a fan favorite. The Pistons beat the Thunder because the Thunder took the day off. Pacers beat the Grizzlies. Memphis with the cover. I had them with a 9 spot. Hawks over the Raptors by 1. Magic beat the Suns. The Suns decided not to play the fourth quarter. They all played video games in the locker room instead. The Bulls beat the Blazers by 8. Saturday, the Lakers beat the Dubs in double overtime. LeBron went off with a triple-double. The Knicks beat the Heat 125-109. Randall dislocates his shoulder. They're saying weeks, not months, that he'll be out. The Nuggets beat the Sixers. JoJo didn't play. Ben Simmons, probable for tonight. This guy plays what? 10 games a year at best? That's what the over-under should be, 10 games on his season. Have you ever seen anything more ridiculous than the media following Ben Simmons, including myself? It's embarrassing. I mean, this guy's worthless. I mean, he really is. He's worthless. I don't even know why he's in the NBA. He should be in Australia. Seriously, like playing like in the hood. I don't even know what to tell you. Like, this guy, worthless. I'm telling you, Adam Silver finalizing an extension. He'll be the NBA commissioner forever. Rick Harrow, our sports business and legal insider, will join us. We got tonight's games. The Knicks are in the Buzz Nest in Charlotte. Clips in Cleveland, a good one in the land. New Orleans has been terrible lately. They're going to get whacked in Boston. Utah's at Brooklyn. The Lakers are in Houston, Phoenix, and Miami, and many more. UConn beat Xavier Sunday. I mean, they beat them nice and good. 99-56. Nice, tight, clean blowout. Purdue didn't cover against Rutgers, but they won at the rack. Edie with 26 and 12. FAU at the buzzer, a 3 by Jonell Davis wins it against North Texas and Boca. Iowa State beat Kansas. What a horrible Marley. With the 1 second left on the ticker, Kansas hits a 3-bomb to push the 4, or if you had it at 5, you would have lost altogether. Texas Tech beat Oklahoma on the road in Norman. Illinois handled Indiana by 8 in Champaign. Duke beat Clemson by 1. How about TCU in 3 overtimes beat Baylor? Richmond, I had on a ticket. They beat Dayton. My guy Neil Quinn, the 7-footer, getting involved. Kentucky beat Arkansas, didn't cover. We got the top 5 in the new AP poll. College basketball title betting, best and worst against the spread, best totals, over-unders. Tonight in college basketball, Duke is in Blacksburg against the Hokies. Houston and Texas in Austin. They got hot chicks there, I just wanted to say. The Blues beat the Kings. Braden Shen scored in overtime from Bushnevich. Seattle over Columbus 4-2. Oilers have won 16 straight. They did that on Saturday. One game tonight, Nashville and Ottawa. We'll talk All-Star Weekend in Toronto. Sinner wins the Aussie Open. Your boy, the Sinner, the Italian. He's skipped the next tournament. He's home drinking wine and hanging out with hundreds of women. Scherzer and DeGrom eyeing midseason return. Sure they are. Are you ready on a Monday? Coast to coast time. I made you a ton of money this weekend, didn't I?
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
We got one of the best games of the year, Warren, on Sunday night as the Chiefs are now headed back to a 6th championship game. An extremely fun, clean game, and then the hijinks ensue.
And I thought it was just irresponsible for him to take that deep shot into the end zone. I talked a lot about it on X. I thought that they should have hit that underneath route to Diggs. He was wide open. It would have been easily a first down.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
feels like he's got unfinished business, right? He won the national championship, did what he said he wanted to do going back to Ann Arbor.
And, he coached, I think, with the Raiders as an assistant and then got the job with the Niners and then went to title games, went to Super Bowls, lost to his brother. And I think you're right. Unfinished business. Go back. Try to win a Super Bowl.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
This will not end well in Milwaukee. They will flame out, there will be problems, and we will see what happens of who's the next domino to go. Does Giannis just sign an extension, ask out after a year? Do they move on from Dame? Or do they start blowing up some of the other guys, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, so on and so forth? It'll be worth watching.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Ferrall
backup quarterbacks.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
good betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Did like the 2.5. Jumped on.
There's no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Time to turn talk into action. Step 1, fire up your BetMGM Sportsbook. Step 2, make your pick. And Step 3, showtime. Now that hunch has some weight to it. Every play, every game means something more. Because now, you're betting with the king of sportsbooks.
All right, Carver High. Obviously, we got to talk about these games, and you got to start with, first of all, you want to get the app. Our app kicks ass and take names. I mean, we're killing everybody. It's real simple. Once this app came out for free on iOS and Play Store, we took over the world. I thought we had done it with the network itself, going to, hundreds of millions of homes. And then all of a sudden they came out with this app, and then it went to like 50 billion, trillion, gazillion. It was unbelievable. Infinity. And you can follow your favorite hosts like Carver High. And you can watch the network. You can listen to the network. You can get odds, stories, videos, highlights, sandwiches, all on the SportsGrid app. It's incredible. And how about the people at BetMGM? They got it going on. They're already in Vegas. They're like preparing for parties, these people, by standing at every casino they own and handing out $158 to people. You bet $5, you get $158 instantly with the bonus code SG158. SportsGrid158, SG158. Download the BetMGM app on iOS or Android or BetMGM.com. Sign up, deposit $5 into your account, place a wager of at least $5 standard odds price. When you make the bet, they're going to give you instantly bonus bets, $158 worth of bonus bets, and you are off and running like the Niners are to Las Vegas after the Lions gagged on a spoon. Honestly, in the middle of the game, I said on X, it's like watching the Falcons Super Bowl all over again. I mean, you're up 17. You're up 17 points at the half. And then, it literally, the walls caved in. I have never seen anything like it. Not going for the field goals. We'll get to that. But the pass off the guy's face mask that Ayuk caught, then a tutty, then the Gibbs fumble, then a tutty, then another field goal. They got all of that, right? They were up 27-24. The first one, Mike, I can live with. The first 4th and 2, I can live with. The great Greg Olson, it's all about the U, said it was because he threw off his back foot that they didn't complete the pass. Wrong. He stepped up. He had pressure on his left. He threw a perfect pass. Reynolds dropped it. He wasn't even diving. He was just leaning over to catch it, and Bumblefingers dropped it. And don't tell me he doesn't suck, because he dropped another one later that was even worse. I mean, my man couldn't catch anything yesterday. Blame Reynolds. He was dropping passes left and right. Mike, I had no problem going for it there. I had problems when you were at the 30 and a 47-yarder to tie it, that they went for it again, and that was even worse, that pass on 4th and 5, even worse. But all I'm saying is simply that in the history of the NFL, I know today I heard this old school NFL stuff that you don't, the old school NFL, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something. There's been a lot of Lombardi trophies won, 57 of them, and you could count, you'd be in the 30s and 40s of teams that have made decisions that weren't as dumb as those. You go with the math guys from MIT. Look what that got you. Everyone says it's all about analytics. It's all about math. I'm going to read you. This made me sick to my stomach. I'm going to read you from the Wall Street Journal. They had an 85% chance of winning by going for it and an 82% chance if they kicked the field goal. What was this, an SAT question? On the second one, when it was to tie it, 28% versus 26% kicking the field goal. You tie, you go to 27-all, anything's possible. All I'm saying is, in the history of the NFL, you're going to tell me that Dan Campbell's decision-making is better than Lombardi, Knoll, Walsh. Do you want me to keep going? Belichick. Do you want me to go with all the teams that have known since the beginning of time on the road? You always take the points. But now we play in the new NFL where math geeks and losers make decisions. And look what it got you. You can all talk. I saw it today on ESPN. Every single guy said he did the right thing, except he did the exact opposite. He did the wrong thing. Always take the points on the road in an NFL championship game because you'll never get them back. And they lost the game. So take your math and shove it because they lost. And then people say, oh, it wasn't a guarantee that he would have made the field goal. He's 77% between 40 and 49 yards. I guarantee you he would have made the field goal and it would have been 27-all. I'll guarantee it. You know why? Because it was so stupid to go for it that I don't even have to think about the field goal because you know he would have tied it. And now we're talking about all this. He did the right thing. Guess what? You sniff the Lombardi, you ain't sniffing it again. See you later. You lose. Bye.
Yeah, look, we know we live in a different day and age now with all these guys and their go-for-it percentages, analytics, all of this stuff, and live by the sword, die by the sword. I heard a lot of that when it talks about Dan Campbell this morning. I'm with you on the kick that he should have done to tie it at 27. I didn't have as big a problem with the first one. The one where he could have tied the game at 27, because you know what else that does, Scotty? You make that kick there, and despite you taking a whole bunch of body blows that entire second half, you'd actually get the game back on a bit of an even footing, right? Listen, things have gone bad. This has been a brutal half, but you know what? There's 9 or whatever it was, 8, 9 minutes left in the game, and we're even. If they score, we'll get the ball, one score. You know, you got to think of it that way. And he didn't do that. And he had obviously a real bad night all around.
Why did he kick the field goal at the end of the first half? He made the decision, take the points on the road. And then in the second half, and then remember, they gave up a touchdown after that, go down 10. They get the backdoor cover. I hit the 7. I hit the over. I don't want to hear it. He did it in the first half, but in the second half he didn't. But remember, in the second half, Mike, what did they complete in the second half? 3 or 4 passes the entire half? They couldn't catch a ball. They couldn't do anything. I can't even believe the 4th down to Williams in the back of the end zone for the cover, for the backdoor cover, for the 7, that he caught that on 4th down. I couldn't even believe that worked.
And I thought that was also another butchered sequence that he had, because you can't run the ball there on 3rd down and then have to use the timeout. You're not going to get the ball back, Dan.
Right.
I mean, you had to throw into the end zone all 4 downs. You know that, or kick the field goal on 4th, and then you still have the 3 timeouts with a minute left to potentially get the ball back. So there was a lot, but he got us the backdoor cover. I guess if he did anything right, if he did anything right for us in that whole entire sequence, it was that he did that. And you're right; these opportunities, they don't come very often. And when you're up 17 points in an NFC Championship game, I'm not saying you got to go full conservative, but you got to think a little bit at some point, especially the way that they just. I mean, the tip ball, I'll play you the stuff later after game. Like that everything just all hit at once. The tipped ball, the fumble, the touchdown. It just boom, 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 boom. You got to try to find a way to settle that game down. And going for it again on 4th down wasn't the way to do it. It was time to even the game up, and he didn't want to go for it.
You know where you need math? In the back room at the sports book with the guys that set the numbers. You know where you don't need math, in my view. Now, the whole world in baseball and football is about analytics. And I heard about this. Read it. Wall Street Journal, old school football. I'll tell you what. We got 6 Super Bowls. The Patriots have 6. The Niners have 5. The Cowboys have 5. You always take the points on the road. Even and there's no excuse. There's no excuse. But now
especially
we leave it in the hands of math geeks. I want to see that nerd standing on the sideline. Coach, you've done it all year. You got to do it again. So they were 3 of 5 in the playoffs. 3 of 5 in the playoffs on 4th down. One of them in the game, the 4th down in the back of the end zone. So it worked once. It worked 3 times in the playoffs. That's not good enough for me, 3 out of 5. It's not good enough.
Your team name sucks. Your uniform sucks. Get in there. Be better. Suck. Buffalo Bandit.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
I'll say 12 or more years of suffering. The last, take a look. Go look at it yourself. After Bear Bryant, all they did was lose.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home-road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Ferrall
backup quarterbacks.
Coast to coast. I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
You
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was good
Late
betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Well, Morency and I had an enormous audience yesterday for that Kansas City-Baltimore game, and it certainly it was an incredible game, and so was the Detroit-San Francisco game. And I know it wasn't about me. I know that, fair enough, but I had a good day betting. I had the Chiefs winning outright. I had the 4. I had the under 44.5. You and I both couldn't believe that it stayed under. The way that the game started. And then I have to get your reaction to the Lions meltdown. And I am not from the analytics, new age, go for it on every fourth down club. I am from Super Bowl glory. I am Chuck Noll and the Steelers 4 and 6 years. You think they didn't kick the field goal to tie on the road in a game that mattered? Like, he goes for it on fourth down every game, and they said that's why they're so good. And I would beg to differ. In a championship game, you're down 3, you're melting like an ice cream cone, and you have a chance to tie the game, and you go for it and fail. And they couldn't complete a pass in the second half. You knew they weren't going to get that first down. They should have kicked. I don't care what anybody said. They say hindsight's 20/20. My ass. You always kick to tie on the road, take the points, always. And now all the mathematicians, what are they doing today besides holding their D's?
Well, if you look back and you look at the New England Patriots' first Super Bowl win, it was Adam Vinatieri kicking a winning field goal. It wasn't Bill Belichick telling Tom Brady, let's go for it instead of kicking the 3, right?
Right.
So, listen, coming into the playoffs, I like the Rams a lot. And one of the reasons I liked the Rams a lot was I thought that Dan Campbell would get run over and smoked by Sean McVay in a playoff game. And the Rams end up covering the spread. The Lions escape by 1. But surprisingly enough, it was McVay that was very conservative. He was too conservative in the red zone. He kept kicking field goals. So he survived. And then it crossed my mind yesterday, Scott. So, Raheem Morris, good coach, but he doesn't have the same, you know what I mean, not the reputation-wise as Sean McVay or Shannon. I was thinking yesterday during the game, damn, is Dan Campbell really going to beat Kyle Shanahan and Sean effing McVay on the way to the Super Bowl? This guy that I called, and I'll put my hand up, I called him like a rube years ago. I said, you guys have fun with your press conferences and all this. He's a fun guy, but he's a bad coach. All right. And I thought he was holding the Lions back years ago, like point blank. I was like, yeah, if the Lions got a real coach with this roster, they'd be really good. Right. I can't, you know what I mean? He did a great job. And I like him. And I also, Scott, right before halftime, I literally tweeted out. I said, props to Dan Campbell. I said, props to Dan Campbell for not getting stupid and accepting the 3 before the half when he made it 17-7.
Right. I just brought it up.
Smart. Good job, coach. Right? No, you didn't do anything stupid. It's like, no, take the 3. Let's go. Take the 3. Let's go. He couldn't effing help himself.
Right.
This is a guy that, that went to Vegas as a tourist, was all drunk and wasted at a blackjack table and hit on 18 once and got 21. And now he hits on 20 thinking, no, I did it before. Trust me. And hey, that's the way I operate, and I'll live and die with it. Well, you're going to die with it more than you're going to live with it. It was reckless. And I get the whole thing. Players, you're always going to hear players say, well, you know what? We like that he went for it. He trusts us and all this. You didn't really get that yesterday from the Lion players. I saw an interview, Scott, with Luke Wilson. Not a superstar by any stretch of the imagination, but Luke Wilson played in the National Football League. He played on the Seattle Seahawks. He was the tight end. He was on the field, Scott, when they were 1 yard away from the Super Bowl. I saw him yesterday talking, but he goes, I was standing there thinking, I'm about to win the Super Bowl. We're going to hand it off to Marshawn Lynch. He's going to run it in, and I'm about to win a Super Bowl. And he goes, we found out they were throwing the ball, and what happened? He goes, what I saw in that game today was the second and third worst calls in football history. And he said, you lose the room when you do that. You lose the room point blank. He goes, it's just stupid. He goes, the players are going to hate you. And he went off on this big diatribe about they're that close to the Super Bowl, bro. It's not about you being like a gambler. We're not in the World Series of poker, Dan. This is my effing life. I'm close to the Super Bowl, bro. You got 53 other guys battling, right? And I saw another NFL player, Davis Sanchez, played on the Chargers. He said, quite frankly, he needs to be fired. And he goes, I'm not one of these hot take guys, but he goes, if you're a player, you're going to have a hard time ever trusting this guy again when you were that close. Like, you know what I mean? It's like planning the perfect robbery, Scott. You know what I mean?
Right.
You and your crew, you broke in Labor Day weekend into the jewelry, factory, and you're cracking safes and everything's fine. And then one of your buddies sets off a freaking explosion because he saw like a $10 million knife. Boom. Hey, the cops are on the way now, jackass. Everything was fine. Dude, everything was fine. Everything was fine. And imagine the pressure that would have been put on San Francisco being tied at 27-27 with 5 minutes left. They would have been like, oh, man.
So they said literally, I read it on the air earlier that the Wall Street Journal did a story, and they said they had a 28% chance to win the game if they went for it. They had a 26% chance to win the game if they kicked the field goal. And I thought to myself, I went, actually, it's a 100% chance to win the game if you tie the game and it's 27-all. You have a 100% chance, and so do they. When the game is tied, you can still win that game. And when you go for it on 4th and 3 and fail, you lose the game. That's what they did. They lost the game. Instead, they said 26% chance to win. If they tie it, what day in math class that they taught you that? I'm not even that dumb. If you tie the game, you can still win the game.
But Scott,
if you fail, you lose the game.
At 4th and 1, okay, we talk about this, right? It's 4th and 2, 4th and a short 2. As you stated, bro, they were unraveled. Number one, nobody could catch a ball. Jared Goff was putting it right on their number, so it was like, okay, our quarterback's fine, but is anyone else going to make a play, even if we do this? Dude, everything was going against them. And you think suddenly we're going to make a play on 4th and 3? Just take the damn 3 points, regroup, and go, all right, guys. I would have been like, hey, if you would have told us there'd be 6 minutes left, guys, and we're tied, we'd take it. That's what I would have said if I was Campbell on the sidelines. Instead of this, he did it earlier, and he could have got the 17-point lead, too.
Right.
Dude,
that was it.
All you need to know, guys.
That was 10 minutes left.
Sauce Gardner of the New York Jets, pretty good football player. The guy's a badass. He commented on Twitter. Last night about it. And he said, I never do this, but he goes, I can't believe that, man. And he said the same thing. He goes, there's guys on the team, man. And then he tweeted after, he goes, oh, what a coincidence. You ended up losing by 3 when you didn't kick those 2 field goals. So players themselves, Scott, they want to punch those analytic tool bags on TV as much as you do. Players on the field are like there's Sauce Gardner telling you, man, he's a moron for not doing this. Like, players themselves are mad. And I guarantee you, Lion players, they love him to death. I get it. Part of the swagger is why we got here. But it doesn't mean, like, at some point, bro, you take the pedal off the metal, man.
That's why teams, I said before, that's why the Steelers and Pats have 6, the Niners have 5, the Cowboys have 5, the Packers, you go on, because they make sound decisions long before math came into
Even
it.
Michigan,
about
Scott,
kicking field goals. You kick the points on the road always. I don't care who it is. Now remember, 1957, an NFL championship, and now it's 2024. So you can rot in hell. You didn't get it done, but your friends up in Ann Arbor did. That guy's way smarter than Campbell, and I don't listen to mathematicians. Thanks so much.
Yeah, there was times this year where it'd be frustrating, where it'd be like, come on, man. Like, really? You're going to make it 13-0? They can't score on us. Just go for it. Harbaugh would take the 3 and move on. Take the 3 and move on. It adds up, bro. It all
adds up.
That's 6 points you left on the field, Campbell. You lost by 3.
Now, listen, when you were doing the show with me, and I said to you at the very end, I go, Lions outright. Lions.
Can you
7,
believe that you were laughing and you're like, oh my God.
24/7. I was counting money with my tongue. And I thought I was going to hit all 6 bets.
And then it's
Chiefs
34-24.
outright. Chiefs 4, under. Lions outright. Lions 7, over. The only one I got wrong was the Lions outright because of that moron. I don't get it. And then I sat there today and watched literally on ESPN every single guy knob him like he did the right thing. And he did the right thing if you like losing. If you like losing, you did the right thing. If you like losing, you listen to mathematicians. If you like winning, you go into the history of the Super Bowl era. How many teams have won Lombardi trophies? Just kick the field goal, tie the game, no matter what. Take the points. You haven't done anything right the entire half, and you're going to start getting Gucci now? You can't even complete a pass. You fumbled the ball. You did everything wrong, and you're not going to tie the game. They deserve everything they got and then some, and they'll never live it down any more than the Falcons lived down blowing a 25-point lead at the half in the Super Bowl.
What I don't get either is after. Listen, they've got a bright future, but it's not going to be easy. We always
No, they don't.
But Dan Campbell, instead of telling the players after the game, listen, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Some sort of, I'm sorry. Well, you know what he tells them?
My bad.
Yeah, you know what he told them? And he even tells us, he goes, I told them we'll probably never, ever make it this far again. That's what he told them.
That was a really nice thing to add into the cocktail.
Not with you here, Coach. That's what I guarantee you guys were thinking. So, like this guy,
how did it work out for the Eagles? We'll be back. They went 10-1 this year, and then they melted like an ice cream cone. The Lions aren't playing in those Super Bowls. You lose.
Well, they never have.
Your team name sucks. Your uniform sucks. Get in there. Be better.
Suck. Buffalo Bandits.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
I'll say 12 or more years of suffering. Take a look. Go look at it yourself. After Bear Bryant, all they did was lose.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Ferrall
backup quarterbacks.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
I have
decisions.
no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was good
Late
betting.
Night.
We waited for the 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Did like the 2.5. Jumped on.
There's no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyway, Morency, I didn't have time to say it to him, but honestly, another great season of doing NFL games with this guy. Like, I have to say, like, in-game live, all access pain day Sundays, there's nothing like it. Like, he's absolutely insane. And there's something wrong with me, too, for certain. The two of us, it's just an absolute chaos show. And it's so much fun, and it's so funny, and the gambling end of it is so juicy. He's got like 20 bets going on every game, and I'm going crazy, screaming and yelling, refs. It's just a fantastic show. I look forward to doing the Super Bowl from the SportsGrid excellent studios down to Jersey Shore with all the talent from the network will be there on the 11th. I think the game's at 6:30. And don't forget, we'll be, and Morency will be there too, and Ranieri, you name it, Carver High, everybody, Lisi, they're all going to be there. And then everyone, you name it, every guy at the network. But we'll be at Vegas the 5th through the 9th live at Radio Row, the Mandalay Bay where the fishes fly, starting Feb 5, and at the MGM as well, right by the Sportsbook. So a lot happening with SportsGrid as we head to Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58. All right, Carver High.
All right, yeah, let's get through a couple things from this game last night before we get to the early game, which we haven't talked about yet. Here it is, of course, 24-7 game coming out into the second half. You know, it was very quick, Scotty. It unraveled very fast. Here is a little montage of all the things that hit the Detroit Lions in the face pretty early in that third quarter on Fox.
Gardner Johnson in for Joseph, who leaves. Here's Purdy with a lot of time. Steps into one. Launching deep, going for Brandon Ayuk. It is. Oh, he caught it off the ricochet. Penalty. Is he in? He's down to the 5. Here is Gibbs. Up the middle, he runs into a wall. And the ball came out. Ball is loose. Who's got it? 49ers recover. McCaffrey's going to get it, and he walks in. Touchdown, San Francisco.
Yeah, I honestly, Mike, I couldn't believe it. Like I was sitting there, and I honestly, so I have a fireplace, whatever. I'm chilling. I had the fire going. I'm up 24/7. I had shepherd's pie going from Belfast. I had it all going. Rum. I had it all going. Clapping, cheering, loving life, gonna hit every single bet. And then the pass off the helmet, I go, I am crazy. I gotta change rooms. Turn the fire off, turn the lights off, moved into the big TV room, turned it on. Next thing you know, Gibbs fumbles. And then right when he fumbled, I said, this game's over. And then I can't even believe that I covered the 7 with the backdoor touchdown on the 4th down. I can't even believe it.
I couldn't believe it either. Of course, I had them a couple tickets for them outright. I reloaded yesterday morning. They got to like 9-1 at one point to win the Super Bowl. I figured, let's go. We're all in on the Lions, and it just did not go well. But once that fumble happened, that was the moment for me, Scotty. Even before the not kicking the field goals. The fumble right after the miracle touchdown with the ball off the guy's helmet, I said, this thing's over. This game's over.
So you remember
this
Friday,
game one way or the other.
You and I, there's a video of us talking, and I said, the Niners will get by, and they always win at home. And you were like, Lions outright, and give me the 7. And then I did the show in Morency. The show is about to start. The 6:25 game's about to start. We're done at 22 after the hour, and I go, screw it. I'm betting the Lions outright with Carver High. I'm going all in because I went all in. I went all in with Kansas City to win. I went all in on the 4 and the under. He said I was crazy with the under when it was 7-all. He said it went to 53.5 in game. It stayed under, and I said these two teams are going to adjust and play defense. Nobody's going to score the rest of the game.
And that's precisely what happened. Here is Campbell. We've talked about it a lot here. In the first hour, his decisions last night, going forward on 4th down multiple times in the second half. He does not regret any of it, he says.
Yeah, I just felt really good about us converting and getting our momentum and not letting them play long ball. They were bleeding the clock out. That's what they do.
That's what they did.
And I wanted to get the upper hand back.
And they played long ball.
And
short
it's
balls.
easy hindsight, and I get it, I get that. But I don't regret those decisions. And that's hard. It's hard because, we didn't come through. It wasn't able to work out. But I don't.
Yeah,
and I understand the scrutiny I'll get.
How'd you sleep
That's part
last
of the
night?
gig, man. But, we just didn't work
He
out.
regrets him today.
I can't even
regrets
listen
him
to it.
today.
Listen, here's the deal. He does regret it, and he'll regret it forever. He'll have nightmares about it forever. I told you, I've lost a ton of championship games. You never forget them. You remember everything about them. Mafi and I lost one night in overtime on a half-court heave. A guy threw the ball from his kneecap over his shoulder, the length of the court, and it went in. And we lost, and they were jumping on top of each other and drinking champagne, and we were all holding our D's and going to the locker room. I've had nightmares. I wake up in a cold sweat. You never forget. Listen, I will disagree with Gabe on one thing about, like, people say he should be fired. Gabe didn't say he should be fired, but he said, like, he's, is he a good coach or not? And he said he never thought he was a good coach. I believe, without a doubt, he's done a hell of a job coaching the Lions. I think he's done a great job as the coach of the Lions. He's not getting fired for any stretch ever. This is the best coach they've had ever. And all I know is they went for it too many times. Remember the Cowboys game, they should have won. They got screwed by the refs. That game was won. That guy checked in, caught the touchdown, 2-point. They win the game. Then they shaft him, move it back. Twice he went for it. From the 3, then the 7-yard line, whatever it was, 8-yard line. He went for it twice and failed horribly both times. But he always went for it all year, always went for it all year, always went for it all year. And then it was the same thing, the kiss of death. The dagger that got you was the thing that got you there. All you did was go for it on 4th down always. And then that was the crust of your pizza. That was your whole game the whole year. And then you went for it on a day when you can't do that. In a championship game, you have to take every point you can get.
Everyone you can get, that's for sure. And look, I think I don't think he's a bad head coach either. I think he's a really good motivator. I think he's a really good, all the stuff, the toughness that he wants his team to play with. He's great at getting that through. He leaves a lot to be desired with his in-game decisions, obviously, as we saw last night. That is the thing that he needs to
And
work
how much
on.
does Ben Johnson have to do with this, Mike? Because everyone says he's a genius.
Right.
He's the one calling the plays. I thought his play calls on those 4th downs were ass. And now he's going to be the coach of the Commanders. So everyone thinks he's a genius. I think he's an idiot, too. I think the both of them. And whoever's in charge of their little mathematicians, somebody needs to get them out of the room.
Yeah, and that is going to look very different for him also if Johnson goes to Washington, which is where it seems like he's going to be going by the end of this week. Here is Kyle Shanahan, Scotty. Of course, I thought we were 30 minutes away from this guy finally getting some serious heat for the first time as the Niner head coach, but they did a hell of a job. They came back in the second half. They got it done. Here's Shanahan on what he thought with the team down 17 at the half.
Talk about it at halftime. What adjustments did you want to make heading into the second half?
We just go over we come up with 8 plays to go over with the offense and how we're going to start it out and go with them.
Was one of
the
those
defense
plays
goes
a
and they all
ball
meet and they
going
break
off the guy's
up and
helmet?
they talk about all their
Catch
stuff from
was that one of the
positions
plays?
and
They
we
planned
just pulled them
that.
up before and so guys, it's only 17 points. It's been a lot of football games where you're down 17 points or starting with the ball. That's plenty of time to come back, plenty of points to come back. But regardless of any of that stuff, we're not going out like this. We got to be a lot more aggressive here in the second half, and in everything we do, offensively, defensively, special teams. I thought we switched up a little bit more, tightened up on some things with some pressure, some man coverage, and the guys didn't want today to be the last day, and we put ourselves in a hole. But they played like it in the second half, and we were able to get the ball to bounce the right way, and we made up for what we did in the first half.
Sure did.
Okay, so here's the deal. Nick Bosa said that Purdy's the best game manager in football, and I don't respect that at all because the best game manager in football is the best player in football, and that's Patrick Mahomes, who's going to beat them on Super Bowl Sunday because he ain't losing to that kid.
I don't disagree with you. That's for sure. And I didn't think, again, it was not as bad as last week against Green Bay. I didn't think he played good in the first half last night, Purdy. Clearly, a lot of things went right in the second half for them. You know what? He never runs, Scotty, and he had those 3 huge runs. Which really changed the game as well.
He played great in the second half. I'll give him that.
He was great in the second half. And that's why Christian McCaffrey...
It's got to be really brutal when you fumble the ball and get the ball at the 18-yard line. And it must be brutal. It must be brutal when a ball bounces off a guy's head and your receiver's right there and catches it. I mean, it must be brutal. It must be brutal.
Two huge bounces.
There is no way. I still can't even believe they're favored in the game, because how do you favor that kid over that monster? He's the devil. Yesterday, all day on TV, I said, Mahomes is Satan himself. He is Beelzebub. He is the devil. You cannot beat this guy. Jesus ain't beating him. Nobody is. He humiliated the Ravens. Humiliated. As bad as he did the Bills. You bet against that guy, you lose all your money. That's why I bet on San Francisco. I wore purple and black on TV. I hate the Chiefs, but I bet on them.
You certainly did. We will go through all the Raven-Chief stuff at the top of the hour. We'll finish with this. This is McCaffrey. He was throwing all the bouquets to Brock Purdy as well for their performance in the second half.
He's got a hot girlfriend, this guy.
What do you say about Brock Purdy and the way he was able to just engineer that comeback in the second half?
Man, I don't have enough good things to say about Brock. He's done since he's been here is play at an elite level, and everything starts with him. And we're lucky he's our quarterback. He takes a lot of heat for absolutely no reason. All he's done is been a great leader, been a great player, and so proud of him and pumped up that I get another one with him this year.
So proud.
He takes a lot of heat for what? I mean, they've been kissing his ass. They've been kissing his ass like no other in the NFL since he walked into the league. They never blame him for anything. I will never forget the day when Shanahan sat up there and said, after he threw 4 picks on Christmas night, that only one of them counted. The other 3 were deflected. Like, that's the funniest thing I've ever heard. I can't stand them. I can't stand either team. I hate them both. But I don't bet against that guy, 15. He's the devil. He's the devil. Never mess with that dude. He'll take your soul.
This is going to be a long 2 weeks with these two teams involved here. I just needed one of them to. I was just hoping one of them would be out. Give me one of the other teams, but no. Yeah. Instead, you get this Niners Chiefs for the next 2. All right, so we will do all the stuff from Baltimore and Kansas City at the top of the hour. We'll come back, Scotty. I know we have a clip from earlier today on the early line that we'll play, and then we will get full force into the Chiefs beating the Ravens. And once again, Scotty, Patrick Mahomes getting it done like he always does. His 4th Super Bowl appearance in 6 years as the starter. Listen, absolutely ridiculous.
Mike, their defense was unbelievable. They knocked down 4 Jackson passes. They literally they held him to 7 points. And on that one, he should have been sacked. He was sacked and thrown to the ground, and he somehow stayed up and threw the bomb to Flowers. And I thought Flowers played like a moron yesterday with his taunting and everything else. You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Your team name sucks. Your uniform sucks. Get in there. Be better.
Suck. Buffalo Bandit.
Sports Rage Late Night only on SportsGrid.
I'll say 12 or more years of suffering. The last, take a look. Go look at it yourself. After Bear Bryant, all they did was lose.
Ferrall Coast to Coast only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
Well, look at the Heisman Trophy.
The early line.
And what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Ferrall coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
in-game live.
Just
prime time.
Yard for a grand slam. The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
that was
late night.
We waited for a 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on.
There's no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
So this morning, Phil Simms was on with my guys, Ben and Donnie, your boy Donnie, right side. Let's listen to Phil Simms.
Yeah, listen, and I don't believe this. You don't have to, make decisions and play a certain way because that's all you were during the year. Well, we go for it on 4th down 30-some% of the time, which when I hear those numbers, I go, that's amazing. But it doesn't mean you have to do it in a championship game. The circumstances are different. And I'm not a second guesser. I really never second guess. I have an opinion before it happens, and then I go with it. Like yesterday, Kansas City, 4th and 1. They go that run play. We were blatantly, don't do it, kick the field goal. This game is rough and tough. You need the points. And I thought the 4th down decision, when it was 24-10, again, immediately I said, kick the field goal. It's 3 scores. There's a big difference between being down 2 scores and 3, just mentally. And to me, that was just a really bad decision. And I know it could have been caught, could have been a better throw, all that. But I'm going back to the decision that was made by Dan Campbell.
Listen, again, I will never say that was a bad pass. It was right in his hands.
It wasn't a bad pass. That was not a bad pass.
It was every 4th down pass you ever see on a slant. It was a short, low ball near the ground where it's meant to be. You don't throw it up in the air so they can knock it down. Get it down near the ground. Get it down near their hands. It was a perfect throw. Everyone said he threw it off his back foot. No, he didn't. He threw it perfectly. Reynolds dropped it. Reynolds sucks. He dropped the other one, too. It was even worse. It was unbelievable. This, honestly, no one blames Reynolds. Reynolds was terrible.
He was terrible in the game, and I still think I don't think it's getting the play because it wasn't him kicking the field goal, but running that ball down there with 1:05 to go and burning that timeout, like they score there and they stop them. They could have got the ball back with 40 or 45 seconds left. They did an awful job.
Phil said it just the way literally I said it. It's a championship game. You always take the points. I don't care who you are.